to DeFi, Degens, Drip, and Farm for Poverty, where on this channel, our vision is to empower the impoverished by helping you find financial freedom through crypto assets. Please subscribe and leave a comment and a thumbs up. Hey guys, welcome back to DeFi, Degens, Drip, and Farm for Poverty. So unless you've been living under a rock these past couple of months, or you just got into crypto, you may not be aware of pretty much what signaled our bear market besides the recession was the collapse of Terra Luna. And Kwon is the pretty much founder and face of Terra Luna, and it pretty much lost about $40 billion. Now that said, just recently there is a post or a video from the hacktivist group Anonymous. Now before I play this clip, actually the powers that be says that this is actually not quote unquote from the legitimate anonymous hacktivist group, but someone posing as them, and on their channel they actually have like a Telegram group talking about a token, and supposedly the real Anonymous says that this is not their token, and they don't have a YouTube channel. But whoever this is has, almost 300,000 subscribers, and I'm going to play this video for you. So the whole point of this title or thumbnail, I want to actually explain how this all kind of ties together, because one, it lets you know that there are cryptos that are not too big to fail. Even a $40 billion top 10 crypto can fail. There's definitely market manipulation and things at play that can corrupt a cryptocurrency, or that can cause it to collapse. And then because of this wild west of crypto, this is leading to more eyes from the SEC, and regulation is coming. And there's a new crypto bill that I talked about in another video that I'm going to highlight on this, and tell you how all that ties in with Forex's vision, and why it's a safe haven for us, even with all of this kind of stuff going on. So first, let's go ahead and play this clip for you guys so you can see it for yourself. It's only 3.5 minutes, so if you weren't watching it, I'll play it for you.
Greetings, citizens of the world. This is a message from Anonymous for Kwon. The past several months have been bad for crypto and the economy as a whole. We were likely going to experience some pain in the crypto industry because of the macro environment, regardless of what was happening internally. We were also due for another bear market this year, but the actions of Kwon, the founder of the Terra Luna ecosystem, is single-handedly responsible for scamming billions of dollars away from retail investors. Kwon made a name for himself with his arrogant tactics, trolling competitors, critics, and acting like he would never fail. In fact, he said that he found it entertaining to watch other projects fail.
I wonder how many of these companies you think are entering the space just because it's hot and there's a lot of funding, versus the ones that will still be here, like 2 to 5 years later.
95% are going to die.
Yeah.
95% are going to die. Yeah. But yeah, there's also entertainment in watching companies die too.
There's entertainment. Oh man, that's so evil. At least you get to learn from it, right?
On one occasion, he called a journalist poor for asking him difficult questions. However, he was quickly knocked down by the markets. The louder they are, the harder they tend to fall. News has now come to light that he was cashing out over $80 million each month as Luna was successful. Kwon denied these accusations in a roundabout way, but not exactly. In a recent Twitter post, Kwon denied cashing out $2.7 billion, but that doesn't account for the $80 million each month that he was apparently taking. He claims that he lost most of his money along with everyone else in the market, and that he was also all in on Luna. The information that he was taking millions from the protocol each month comes from testimony of Terra Labs employees during interviews with the SEC. As a result, Kwon is being investigated for money laundering, in addition to the other accusations against him of malice and fraud. Sometimes people just make mistakes, and sometimes businesses fail, but there is significant evidence that Kwon had bad intentions from the start.
It's a cycle of life. You begin from nothing and go back to nothing. And that's exactly where I want to be. So I think Terra is going to be the decentralized money standard across the entire blockchain, across all the blockchains. And I'm excited for Terraform Labs to contribute a significant portion of that early vision, but eventually to go back to nothing.
Before launching Terra Luna, Kwon worked for another failed stablecoin called Basis Cash. That project failed due to regulatory concerns and investors lost money, but he was never held accountable because he was working under the anonymous name Rick Sanchez, taken from the popular cartoon Rick and Morty. It is obvious to us that Kwon has plenty of secrets and he has been very sloppy in his execution. Multiple governments are conducting their own investigations into the scammer, but so are we. Anonymous is looking into Kwon's entire history since he entered the crypto space, to see what we can learn and bring to light. There is no doubt that there are many more crimes to be discovered in your trail of destruction. Kwon, if you are listening. Sadly, there is nothing that can be done to reverse the damage that you have done. At this point, the only thing that we can do is hold you accountable and make sure that you are brought to justice as soon as possible. We are Anonymous. We are Legion. Expect us.
Now, again, like I said, I have no idea, according to some resources, if that is a legitimate anonymous group or not. But regardless, the whole point of this is that everything in the crypto space is kind of public. Not kind of, but it is. There's some things you can do to, tornado cash and cover your tracks and whatnot, but some really savvy people can reverse engineer and find out what's going on. So that being said, there's what seems to be foul play, and because of that, the SEC has subpoenaed Kwon, and they actually issued him a subpoena when he was in the U.S., and he tried to say that was issued without cause or not without, didn't go through the lawyers properly or something like that. But basically, they overturned that and said that it was a legitimate subpoena. So the SEC is trying to bring him in for, I think, one count for money laundering, also this mirror protocol, which mirrored synthetic stocks, which allowed U.S. investors and outside U.S. investors to get access to essentially U.S. stocks. So this all runs through the SEC. So even though he is a South Korean native and his business is registered in Singapore, the SEC is far-reaching, and they're trying to find different ways to pull people in. And what does that have to do with all this tying into Forex and Drip? Glad you asked, because this is a bill that is getting pushed, or at least getting some headway from the Republican and Democratic Party. And it's a 69-page bill. It's not in a law or anything like that, but basically they're trying to get regulation in the space. And this bill states, just one piece of it, states that this section here, talking about a private issuer. So I'm going to summarize it. You can go to gillibrand.senate and read the whole thing. But basically it says, if more than 50% of a crypto token supply is being held by people in the U.S., then whoever created that entity is subject to U.S. regulations and cannot be classified as a foreign entity. So this would work in the case of Luna. This is a bill that's not in existence now, but also the reason I want to bring this in is because if something like this passes, that 100% affects Drip, because we already know Forex is in the U.S. He's mentioned that before. He's from the U.S. Actually, he's from, I believe, Saskatchewan. But most of the holders are U.S. citizens. So what the SEC decides will 100% impact Drip. Now, that being said, the good news is that, one, Forex is all about building things that do not cripple the industry in regards to just screwing people over like Kwon's algorithmic stablecoin did. And two, he's very, very big on privacy and anonymity, and that's why he doesn't show his face and all that stuff, because he actually wants to build things that can be utilized, that have utility, and that the SEC probably would not like to have being issued. Because for those of you not familiar, the SEC is the Security and Exchange Commission in the United States, and they pretty much regulate all tokens, stocks, commodities, bonds, all this stuff. And long and short of it is that pretty much every crypto token and coin, aside from Bitcoin, is going to probably fall underneath the security umbrella. And that's what this bill is all about. This is the bullet points. But basically what that means is if it is indeed a security, then it has to be registered with the SEC, and they have rules stating who's allowed to purchase securities, things of that nature. So supposedly the rules are meant to support the little guy and not get them screwed over, but actually the rules just keep the little guy from getting in on investments and making any money, which is what DeFi is so important. So all this ties together because one way or another, with the regulation coming into space, be it from the SEC and other countries with a similar governing body, or groups like Anonymous looking to check on things, and that's why the blockchain is important, and you can have your code be public and people can review the code on GitHub. So the good news again with all this is that Forex doesn't fall under these kind of issues that you would find from Kwon. He's not quite as arrogant as that, and in a way more humble to take his protocols down and ensure there's no exploits. So none of his tokens contracts have had exploits in regards to people losing a butt ton of money. The pig contract was exploited, or botted I should say, but then the fail safes went into effect and he paused the contract and all that. So not a lot of capital was removed from the system. So the whole reason I want to bring this up is because things like this are going to cause regulation to come into the space very quickly. But luckily, again, we have a developer who is very much aware of this and has been trading in the traditional markets and is trying to create systems in which they can't either be removed because he's building it and doesn't own it. But I have no idea how these laws will shape up, but rest assured, Forex is probably very much aware of where things are going and keeping a pulse on that, so that once these projects are launched and they're on the blockchain, they're immutable. They can't be taken down. And especially if the contract themselves and the UI that's hosted on it is on a, I think it's IPFS. I can't remember the name of that. Interplanetary file system. So basically it's the equivalent of our World Wide Web, but on the blockchain. So anyway, long story short, we have a good developer in the space that's trying to do good things and is aware of these types of regulation things coming in and is trying to ensure that his protocols actually do good and can last, and you won't have to worry about Forex being, investigated by Anonymous, because he's not actually trying to scam people out of money or do anything that would cost people their money. He's actually trying to leave a positive mark on the space. So I just want to bring this up because this is new news. This video posted about 9 hours ago. So yeah, in a way, I'm just trying to gain the algorithm and see if I get some clicks on this video. But hopefully you guys also understand how this type of stuff is some big eyes coming into the crypto space, and how this will shape up. In the long run, regulation is going to be good, because if we don't get regulation, we won't get industry money or capital coming into the space, and it'll always be just the small players. But once there's regulation, then you have tons of money coming into the space. So for now, we are sitting in a good space, and having these kinds of things is okay because it brings the volatility and allows you actually an opportunity to get tokens and coins at a much cheaper price due to the volatility and the non-regulated environment. But rest assured, regulation is coming soon, and each country is going to want a piece of the pie. And I think the US is currently pushing to own the bigger portion of that pie somehow. So keep your eyes peeled, guys. So if you want to find this link, I'll try to remind myself to put this if you want to read a 69-page US government bill, by all means, or if you want to read the actual bullet points. But yeah, until next time, guys, lift daily and achieve your impossible. See ya.